Welcome to WebRTC Live. In WebRTC Live, we cover the latest technical topics and business use cases for WebRTC and live video. As always, this episode is brought to you by WebRTC.Ventures, leading integrators of WebRTC video into your custom application.
Welcome back to WebRTC Live. I'm Arin Sime, your host, CEO and founder of WebRTC.Ventures. We are a custom design and development firm specializing in building live video applications for web and mobile. You can learn more about us at WebRTC.Ventures. In today's episode of WebRTC Live, I'm pleased to have Kyle Bank from Phenix Real Time Solutions here with us. Kyle is the VP of Sales, Operation, and Strategy, and he'll be his team there is focused on real-time video at scale. So large audiences. We're going to have a use case discussion around that today. He'll be speaking at the Illinois Institute of Tech Real-Time Communications Conference coming up in less than 2 weeks now in Chicago on October 15th about trivia and gaming with WebRTC. So he's going to give us a preview of that talk today. So welcome, Kyle. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me, Aaron. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Excellent. So we're going to have you go ahead and share your screen. You've got a preview of your presentation from the conference, and really interested to learn more about these use cases. So,
yep. Is the presentation active?
It is. I can see it. Go right ahead.
Great. So I thought it might be helpful to start off just talking about what's happening in the live streaming space today and what we're seeing. Phenix takes a lot of measurements of latency and delay of major sporting events behind the real-time game happening on the field. And this year in the Super Bowl, we took about 100 data points across several of the OTT platforms that you could have watched the stream on, and saw that the average best latency was on the CBS Sports app, which was actually 28.2 seconds behind the game. But even more interesting than that is that you see a variation and an audience drift of those who have the lowest delay to those who have the largest, where some users were almost 2 full minutes behind the game. And this is really kind of due to the nature of traditional live streaming using protocols like HLS and MPEG-Dash that are really widely supported, and CDNs today are able to deliver these streams at scale, but with significant latency. And that's really why Phenix was created, was to focus on helping these broadcasters and major live events, whether they be sports or for other use cases, deliver streams in real time. And we can transition into really what our core value proposition is. What we focus on at Phenix is delivering streams with less than a half a second of end-to-end latency. That's from time of light into the camera through the encoding process, upload into our cloud infrastructure, and delivery to the end user devices, whether they be on mobile, desktop, or smart TVs. We're doing this to broadcast size audiences. We've run events with several 100,000 concurrent viewers on a single channel. We also do this in a synchronized fashion. So not only are we delivering the stream in real time, but every viewer is synchronized within 3 frames. And at 30 frames a second, that's within 100 milliseconds or 0.1 seconds, virtually not noticeable to the viewers. And this is on a global basis. So you could have viewers in the US, in South America, and in Japan all watching the same feed within a few frames of each other. And that's important if you have viewers both interacting with the broadcast itself, but also interacting with each other, that they're seeing the same content together. Alongside the video, a lot of our customers are building interactive experiences. So they want to be able to deliver secure data alongside the video, whether that's to trigger a question in a trivia app or to trigger sports betting data in a sports example. So this is really kind of our core focus here at Phenix. We do this across a global set of data centers. We operate with multiple cloud infrastructure providers for redundancy as well as scale. Today we run 23 points of presence across the globe, and that will be expanding to 30 by the end of this year. And today that's across 3 cloud infrastructure providers. So we're delivering these streams on a global basis. Just to run through a couple of quick use cases, last year we were selected by ABC for streaming the Oscars behind the scenes experience, where fans were voting in a mobile app on who was going to win the next award, what a certain actress was wearing walking down the red carpet, what type of shoes. And then in between the television segments, we were streaming the behind the scenes interactions of the celebrities speaking with each other. We measured the actual ABC.com stream about 93 seconds behind the real-time stream we were delivering, with about a half of a second delay. We had about 1.4 million total views, and you can see here the audience was really thrilled with the experience and be able to really interact with the content instead of just consuming it. We also see a lot of companies trying to engage users with interactive trivia apps. We work with one of our partners in the Netherlands, Ex Machina Group, who launched Q12 Trivia in Spain, which has scaled to several 100,000 concurrent viewers. We're delivering the video from their studio with a green screen in real time, and they've built a lot of these neat interactive Q&A features and functionality around the video element. They're actually able to encode and publish directly from the browser, so we're enabling them to not have to have dedicated hardware in order to deliver a stream in real time and do that at a really good quality. Another unique use case, a new football league launched about actually a year and a half ago called Your Call Football, where fans call the plays directly on the field. They also partnered with Barstool Sports, who was providing commentary, but before every offensive play, they pushed out 3 options. Fans voted what they want to run on the field, and they actually pushed that play out to the quarterback to run. And that experience was being delivered in real time with a real-time encoder on the field and delivering to native mobile apps as well as a web experience. And so these are really a lot of the unique use cases that are coming to market today that real-time and WebRTC capabilities really enable. A few years ago, building an experience like this just wasn't possible. The technology wasn't quite there. Different than sports examples, we're also working with really large auction companies where the use case is to have many more channels concurrently with smaller audiences. But for Cox Automotive and Mannheim Auctions, they run over 1,000 concurrent channels with us on a daily basis. And we're able to enable viewers to bid on these automobiles remotely against people that are actually bidding in person. And so we're excited to be able to enable these types of use cases in addition to trivia, sports, and betting. And speaking of betting, when you look at the market for sports betting today, bets in the UK, where sports betting has been legal for over 50 years, the bets have to be cut short by between 30 seconds and a minute, and they're losing a lot of significant revenue by cutting the betting window short due to the streams being delayed. With real-time streaming, viewers could be making bets on, will Tiger be making this next putt? How many points will be scored in the next minute of a game, which enables us to increase engagement, have longer time windows to bet, and really drive higher revenues for our customers. We do look at, there are many options for low latency streaming today, WebRTC being one of them, which was primarily built for video chat applications, and Phenix's focus is really how do you scale that to a large audience and do that at high quality. There's also CMAF, which is a new and upcoming standard combination of HLS and Dash, which is capable of streaming with a few seconds of latency. There's also WebSocket approaches. But the challenge is, how do you do real time in less than a half a second and do that at scale? And that's really what we've focused on here at Phenix. We strongly believe the time for real time is now. WebRTC capabilities are now available in all the modern browsers. We can deliver to really any device anywhere in the world, and happy to be part of and leading the WebRTC ecosystem alongside other partners of ours like WebRTC.Ventures and Arin. I'll pass it back over to you.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I think this is such a fascinating space, and I love how, you've talked about how, building interactivity around the video and that's a lot of, what we do, I think is really interesting. But sometimes, sometimes I think, maybe we think that because there's so many conferencing tools that conferencing is kind of a solved problem, and it's all about what you build around that. And that's kind of how we tend to think a lot as a company. This is really interesting to me in thinking about these use cases is highlighting on your part how there is so much more that can be done in the video, certainly at large scale. 28 seconds delay on watching the Super Bowl is really interesting. I'm not a big football viewer myself, but I have to give a plug for my University of Virginia Cavaliers. Won the national championship this year in March Madness, and their last 3 games, they won in the last 28 seconds. So that type of delay is huge, huge impact just in watching a game. And so you've got that aspect of just getting the video out there to viewers in a pure broadcast scenario in a more real-time way. But then I think it's really interesting too, like the your call football that you brought up. That's the sort of really innovative thinking that I think we're starting to see, but not quite realizing yet that as video takes over the internet, as broadband access is more popular, as 5G comes along and rolls out, the ability to do these much more creative ways, that fans can call a play, I think is really cool. So these are some great use cases you've brought up. I appreciate it. So let's, a couple other questions here for you. So WebRTC, really was originally designed with video conferencing in mind, right? One-on-one video chats like you and I are having right now, and not really the idea of broadcasting this, even broadcasting our chat was kind of an add-on later, and it's been adapted to that. But it seems Phenix has taken the approach that adaptation is not enough. You've got to basically build it from the ground up in order to do a real time at a larger scale. So is it fair to say that, at this point, Phenix really just uses WebRTC in terms of connecting to the browser and grabbing, say, like my live video stream and then pushing it out to my millions of fans, or is there more to WebRTC that's still fundamental to your architecture?
That's a great question. And while WebRTC is really one of the core underpinnings of our platform and what enables us to deliver into all the modern browsers without a user downloading any type of plugin, which is really one of the main challenges of adoption, is if you make a user download any type of software. But you're correct. WebRTC is this open standard. It's an open source stack that enables companies to build video chat experiences. Our core thesis was that that open source stack wasn't necessarily built with the purpose of having 1 million concurrent viewers. But there's nothing inherently in the protocol itself that prevents you from building a system like that. Right. So we did build from the ground up and start really from scratch, writing several million lines of code ourselves, but we comply with the WebRTC standard. So while we've built it all ourselves, it really looks to the browser and feels like WebRTC. But we've built additional features on top of that, including the audience synchronization, including multi-bitrate adaptive transcoding for adaptive streaming, where one of our customers can publish a 1080p feed at 4 megabits per second. We can create all the quality layers and do the switching based on the client's available bandwidth and jitter and other networking profiles that we see. And that's not available in the off-the-shelf WebRTC stack. So we've built it to enable the type of experience a consumer is going to expect from a stream like the Super Bowl. We want to be able to do, today we're doing 1080p 60, on our way to 4K. And that's, a big challenge with, a protocol that was initially built for video chats. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. Kind of adhering to that front end of the standard, but being able to change what's under the hood for these different use cases is great. So we were talking a little bit before we went live too, and we had an interesting discussion that sometimes maybe real time is too real time. So you were telling me about a couple of cases where maybe you actually have to introduce some delay into it. So tell our viewers a little more about that.
Sure. So as we've discussed, Phenix focuses on delivering with less than a half a second or 500 milliseconds of end-to-end latency. But for some of our customers, they want to build in a certain buffer. Maybe that's to match broadcast television with a 6-second delay. Maybe that is also to synchronize every individual end user with a separate broadcast feed, because on television, you could have people watching with an antenna, over cable, over satellite. So one of our customers in particular wanted to match every individual end user in their app to a broadcast feed, each of which has a different delay. So we introduced a new feature in our native SDK that enables customers to automate the delay to match an outside broadcast. So some users, they may be building in a 2-second buffer in the client. Others may be building in a 20-second buffer so that we can achieve that perfect synchronization within a few frames to whatever you're trying to synchronize that with, whether it's the overall audience together or whether it's matching another broadcast feed. And this is really what a lot of the real-time technology enables, is these new types of use cases that just weren't available before. So it's an exciting time to be in the space.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting. I mean, in a way, you have to put in those buffers to sort of match the older technology that has some of these delays. But then also that's very internet-y to do, right? You're creating this incredibly personalized experience for each viewer based on the streams that they're watching and synchronizing to that, even though you're doing this for hundreds of thousands of people in parallel. So it's fascinating, that ability to do it at scale and yet also personalized at the same time. So that's great. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Kyle. Really appreciate you joining us today, giving us an overview of these use cases. And any other sort of closing comments you want to make before we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, really appreciate you having me on board. I think the one other comment that might be worth making is, I think as we all know in the industry, Flash is coming towards an end by the end of 2020. And that was the primary method of delivering low latency video with 1 to 2 seconds of delay and latency. And WebRTC really enables us and really the world to replace a Flash-based experience so that the user doesn't have to download a plugin. It'll be supported across the browser ecosystem, and we can actually achieve even better latency than RTMP Flash was achieving. So, I think we all believe WebRTC is here to stay, and look forward to having more use cases like the ones we chatted about here.
Excellent. Flash is dead. Long live Flash. Glad to see it finally going on, and really entering the more creative world that WebRTC enables for us. So thanks again for your time, Kyle. We will be posting this episode. You can watch rebroadcast of this on Crowdcast here. We'll also be posting this to the WebRTC Ventures blog and YouTube soon. If you want to keep up with our upcoming events, just join our email list at WebRTC Ventures or follow us on this Crowdcast account for WebRTC standards. Just quickly mention a couple of upcoming episodes. On Thursday, October 31st at 3:00 p.m. Eastern, we'll be speaking with Sahi Levent-Levi from Blog Geek about supporting WebRTC applications. So that'll be a really interesting discussion. And then on Wednesday, November 13th at 12:00 Eastern, we'll talk about real-time AV1 with Dr. Alex from Cosmos Software. So please join us for those upcoming episodes. And don't forget, you can still register to join us join Kyle and I in Chicago at the IIT RTC Conference at the Illinois Institute of Tech. Chicago, October 14th through 16th. And associated TAD Hack and TAD Summit, which are always a lot of fun as well. You can learn more at rtc-conference.com. And when you register, use promo code FFSPKR for $100 off of registration. So Kyle, thanks again for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today, and let's make it live.
Thanks for joining us for WebRTC Live. Visit our website at WebRTC.Ventures to learn more about our custom design and development services, and to learn more about upcoming episodes of WebRTC Live.